Okay, so now I'm recording. You're a great teacher, bro. You're killing it. Ha! Thanks, Dad. I appreciate that. I appreciate all the love, too, that you give me time in and time out. You are one to like a lot of my stuff, and I truly appreciate that. So thank you very much. And I'm just trying to do my best, provide a service, and hopefully, if nothing else, I'm recording lessons and I'm recording this for my students because this is going to be their homework. So why not be able to go back and look at this and rewatch it and try and get a better understanding? So it's all for the kids, man. And maybe to line my pocketbooks once in a while with somebody that wants some tutoring. All right, so we worked the first one out. And I didn't know how to record. I'm recording now. So follow along, students. But this is the first problem. So we know ray BT bisects angle XBY. So right here, you can see that bisector coming through. And it breaks it into two equal angles. We know the yellow angle is equal to the pink angle. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to start with the information that's given to us. So the information that's given is ray BT bisects XYB. That's got to be the first thing. That's the first thing I underlined. That's the first thing I gave to you. Okay? Then when I look at this, here's the yellow angle. My yellow angle is X. It starts up here, X to B to T. So X to B to T, what's inside of that? 2x minus 6. If the picture tells you, that's given information. Now the other angle, T to B to Y. I always want to go back to TCBY. It used to be like a frozen yogurt place. It would be back in my day, it would be, what do they call it, sugar berry? That would be the sugar berry of my time. Anyway, so we have TBY. TBY is 34. And you can see right inside of that angle, it's 34. The picture tells us that's given information. Okay? Now we need to use this bisector. This bisector cuts it into two equal pieces. So I know the yellow is equal to the pink. But I can't just say 2x minus 6 equals 34. We actually need to show that the angles are equal. And then we just substitute what those angles are. So the most important piece that my students struggle sometimes leaving out is this one right here. We definitely need to say angle XBT is equal to TBY. We want to show that because that's what the bisector is doing for us. And actually, let's make that green. This is to connect this idea right here. So this bisector, why are we using it? Because bisector means equal. Bisector means equal. I must have said this like 30 times in my class today. But bisector means equal each hour, mind you. So 4 hours, I probably said it 120 times today. Bisector means equal. So we have to use that bisector and set XBT equal to TBY. Okay, that's the definition of what an angle bisector actually is. It's taking that whole angle and splitting it into two equal angles. Okay, then you substitute what those are and solve it out using the properties of equality. My students have done enough of this. I don't need to talk them through this, but I think it's important to kind of pay attention to the top and how the given information is used and how we can use the angle bisector to create our equation and then do substitution and solve. Which substitution and solve, my students will know time in and time out because that's all geometry is. You just substitute and solve. So, once again, start off, what do we know? We know that, I'm going to make sure it's black. BT, ray BT, so it starts at B, goes through T. Okay, that's what the ray is. All right, bisects PBM. PBM. It bisects the whole thing. So we're going to say that. Bisects angle PBM. Why do we know that? The only reason we know that is because of this right here. It tells us that. That's the only reason we know that. We can't just guess. We can't assume. We can't say, oh, this is 90 degrees, add them together, set them equal to 9. Like, no, we don't know anything. We know nothing. All we know is what they tell us. So if they're telling us something, we need to use that something. So that's given information. It told us exactly that. Okay? Now we can start to steal from the picture. And the first thing I'm going to steal from the picture is this right here. I'm going to steal angle PBT is equal to 19. And I can put the degree symbol on there. I confused my students. I gave them a test and it had that degree symbol and they're like, whoa, what is this? Because I never used it in class, which is foolish on my part. And I apologize to them, but I explained when we were taking the quiz, like that's how you use inches or feet. It's just a unit of measurement. So when that circle's there, degree measure, it's just a unit of measurement, okay? So we have the yellow. So we did the green. So I want to highlight this. We did ray, BT bisects. We know that's given information. Now we did the yellow angle. We said angle PBT is 19. That's also given information. Now let's go to the pink and we see TBM. And we know what TBM is. We might not know the number, but it says that it's 3x minus 8. So we're going to say angle TBM is equal to 3x minus 8. That's also given information. Why? The only reason we know is the picture tells us, so that's got to be given. All right, so we've got 3 pieces of given information. Still don't have much to do with it until we go back to the green. What was the green? The green is the bisector. So how can we use that bisector? Well, bisector means equal. I'm telling you, it was like that today. Unbelievable, like nonstop. Bisector means equal. And I was like, bisector means, and I'd stop and everybody say equal on my third clap. Like you have to hammer that in one way or another. I like a lot of, what do you call it, choral response, where you just have to keep saying it. Because you know the first time, well, what does it mean? And everyone looks at me with a blank stare. And then you go, bisector means, and then of course they'll tell you. Oh, a long story. Anyway, so PBT, so angle PBT equals angle TBM. And I like this. And that is not given information. How did we know to do that? We know to do that because we're connecting it to the definition of what an angle bisector really is. Like the angle bisector means that this ray cuts the angle into 2 equal parts. So that's how we're using it. Okay? And the beauty of this is it's sort of backwards because so many people are used to having the x on one side and the number on the other. And this actually is going to set us up for 19 equals 3x minus 8. Because we did our substitution. And all we're doing when we do this substitution is we're looking at what is PBT. I don't like that. How can I? Let's highlight it with gray. How can I look at PBT? What is PBT? PBT is 19. So that's what I plugged in. Then we go to TBM. What is TBM? TBM is 3x minus 8, and that's where that comes from. So just trying to highlight some of these things and let you know where they're coming from. I know it looks a little bit more confusing, but that's how substitution works, okay? Is we're taking what PBT actually is and substituting it in so it's no longer PBT, but what PBT actually equals. Same thing here, TBM. We don't want TBM. We want what TBM actually equals. And that's how that works. So now I'm going to underline my variable and draw a line down the middle of my equal sign. So what we need to do is we have to get rid of the 3 and the minus 8. So when I teach my students, I say read it as 3x minus 8. Because if you read it as 3x minus 8, what's the number farthest away? Well, it's this minus 8. So that's where you have to start. That's what you need to get rid of first. So in order to get rid of a minus 8, we need to do the inverse operation or the opposite. So people will say, well, what's the opposite of subtraction? But it's really the inverse. What is the inverse of subtraction? It's addition. So we're going to add 8 to both sides, okay? When we add and we add, we're doing addition. And because we did it on both sides equally, that's what we call a property of equality. So if you do something that's the same on both sides, we call that a property of equality. Whether it's addition, whether it's subtraction, could be multiplication, could be division. There's a plethora of things it could be. But when you do it to one side, you got to do it to the other. That's a property of equality. That legit is what that is standing for. Because we're doing the same thing on both sides equally, that's how it becomes a property of equality. So now, with a positive 8 and a negative 8, when we do 8, take away 8, we get a 0. We are zeroing out the 8s. That's why we are doing this. That's the whole reason we're doing this. Because, remember, what are we trying to get by itself? X. And if we get rid of the 8, that's one step closer to the edge. No, not to the edge, but, but you know, one step closer to solving for that X value. One step closer to the edge, and I'm about to break. Lincoln Park fans? No? Anybody? All right, anyways, so now I've got 3x, only I got rid of the minus 8, so it's no longer there. So now it's just 3x. So now I got to get rid of the 3. And in between the 3 and the x, even though there's no symbol there, there's no symbol, you can put a dot. Or you need to know what's there if there is nothing there. And when you have those two things side by side, that means it's multiplication. So how do we get rid of multiplication? We do, you got it, division. So we are going to do the division prop of equal. Division property of equality. Because what we do to one side, we're doing to the other. Now, a lot of times, students will get confused. Well, do I do the 27 or the 3? 27 or the 3? But let's go back. What are we trying to do? What do we want? We want x by itself. So if we want x by itself, what do we need to get rid of? We have to get rid of the 3. Because what's 3 divided by 3? It's a 1. We are 1ing out the 3's. And when we do that, 27 divided by 3 becomes 9. Now we have a solution. And we can double check our answer to make sure that it's our solution. And we're going to do 3 times x. Well, we just found what x equals. X equals 9. And 9 times 3 is 27 minus 8 will give me 19, which is the same angle, which it should be because it's a bisector, right? All the pieces fit together. You can tell yourself you got an A even before you turn the test in. I know I got an A because I double checked my answer. I know exactly what's happening. Okay? All right, last one. And before I do the last one, let me show you a little something. So I'm also streaming on Discord, and I've got a Discord channel. The link is in my bio, but you can see right down here, there's a questions tab. If you yourself ever find that you want to ask a question that I'm not going through because I teach geometry and I'm doing this for the benefit of my students as well. But if you have a question, you're more than welcome to drop it in this questions tab and I'll answer it. And I need to update my schedule. Let's do this right now. I'm going to do this right now because I keep talking about it. So this is no longer summer hours. This is 23, 24 school. Oh, come on. What? You're not letting me. What's going on? Okay, let's try. Let's back up. Shift return. So there's Monday. Let's get rid of that. So this is school hours. 2023, 2024. School hours. Okay. So Monday, 7 to 8 private session, 8 to 9 lobby session for students. May I ask questions in questions tab? I'll rotate until I'm out of questions. Good. Tuesday, upon request. Wednesday, Both of these are private sessions. Okay, Thursday's private, Friday through Sunday available upon request. I'm just going to keep it at that. I'm going to keep it at 1 session a week right now. Just trying to pick up some steam and get this thing rolling a little bit. I'm pounding on as much content as I can, but I also have to maintain other things. I gotta, help my boys and do all that stuff too. So trying to be cognizant, trying to, be the good dad along with the good teacher, along with trying to make this work. So just a balancing act, and I'm doing the best I can. So that's how things work sometimes. All right, last one. Here we go. And go ahead, pause, give yourself a second to try this out. See if you can handle it. Or you at home, try it right now. I remember, who was it? I definitely remember Bill Cosby when he did Picture Time. And he would trace but I feel like there was one that would really say it like, all right, now you try it, and pause. And okay, let's go. And like people were really doing this at home. No, I don't think anybody's doing it at home. Let's be real. All right, but my students will be doing it in their class, and they'll definitely want some help. So, all right, PS. And remember, Ray PS starts at P, goes through S. PS bisects angle QPR. And we know it's given because we played this game. And mind you, have you ever tried writing without looking up at a screen versus what your hand does? Because my hand obviously is writing on some fake pad and nothing shows up. So I've definitely gotten good at this, but my students have tried this out this year, and it's funny when they give it a shot. Some of them actually become really good at it. In 6th hour, I have a young, a student. I guess I should make sure I'm being careful. A student that actually wanted one of these. It's a XP pen board, is what I'm writing on. And man, this thing's really sweet. Little random product placement. I don't know, but I struggled because I used to have a Surface Pro. And I wanted the school to buy me another Surface Pro, obviously, but they said no. And they leaned me towards this XP pen. And for the price of this XP pen board is super cheap, and you really have an interactive online screen. So I highly recommend it. Teacher approved. I feel like promoting cereal now. All right, let's finish this up. Let's get out of here. I got video games to play. I'm not really kidding. I can't wait to play my video games. All right, it's angle. RPS equals, that's a terrible S. I'll get shunned. RPS equals 8x minus 8. Once again, given. Connect the yellow to the yellow. Let's do the pink next. S, P, Q. And you can really do that as you color through it. I mean, you can say it. S, P, Q. That saves you from ever writing the angle wrong, because if this P is not in the middle, it's going to be wrong. We need the vertex to be in the middle. If I went Q to S to P, that's that angle we're talking about. So that P has to be in the middle. So you have to be very careful with it. Okay? And that's given information. Yeah, I know my given's sloppy, but is what it is. Now go back to your bisector. You have to use your bisector information. So what that's telling me is angle R, P, R, P, S equals 8. Oh my God. RPS equals angle SPQ. because we're using the definition of my angle bisector. So if I'm using the definition of an angle bisector, I want to say something about these two angles being equal. The yellow equals the pink. So the yellow equals the pink. Now, with that, use the yellow. The yellow is 8x minus 8 equals the pink, which is 3x plus 7, and that is substitution. Okay? So we're substituting this information in. Now, this is a great problem. My students definitely kind of struggle with this when you have variables on both sides. But in the same regard as to the last problem, and really think about this, how do you get rid of a minus 8? Remember, we did the inverse operations. We added 8 to both sides. That doesn't change if there's an x connected to it. If I have a positive 3x, the inverse operation is to subtract 3x. And why are we subtracting 3x from both sides? Because what does 3x take away 3x? We are zeroing out the 3x's. We're really trying to get rid of those 3x's on the right-hand side. So if we do this on the right-hand side, we can also combine it on the left-hand side, just like we did the plus 8 on both sides. This zeroed out, and we were left with 3x on this side, but then we did 19 plus 8 and got 27. That same thing can apply with x's. We can subtract 3x from both sides. This becomes a 0. What's still over there? A 7. And then we can do 8x, take away 3x. So if we have 8 x's and we take away 3 of them, we still have 5 x's, and then drop down the rest of your information. Now, what did we do on both sides? We did subtraction. Property of equality. Okay, we're still doing the subtraction property of equality. We just subtracted both sides, only it had a variable attached and it wasn't just a plain number. But I don't know. It doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about that. Now we only have one variable and we have 5x minus 8. And then it equals 7. So we need to get rid of the minus 8. So we're going to add, and we're going to do the addition property of equality. We are going to zero out the 8s so that we're left with 5x equals 15. And then divide, I guess I don't want to use that. I'll use, let's go with orange. Divide, division property of equality. And that's how I tell my student, like if you wrote divide, you want to write division property of equality. And we're going to divide both sides by 5. We are wanting out the 5s so that we're just left with x equals 3. And now, what is the value of x? Did we find x? Absolutely. X is 3. But then it also says, and the angle measures. So make sure you take and you plug that 3 back in. 24, take away 8. 8 minus 24 minus 4 is 20. And then subtract 4 more, and that should give us 16. So number sense game. If I know I can split up 8 into 4 and 4, take the 4 away from the 24, and I'm left with 20, then I only have to do 20, take away 4, and get 16. Now, double check, make sure that's what we're going to get here. So 3 and 3 plus 7. So 3 times 3 is 9. And 9 plus any number, just go down 1 and add the 1, or add the tens place. And that becomes 16. So I know these are equal, and I knew they got bisected, so that should tell me that this is the correct answer. Whew. All right, so that gives us our homework. Our homework should be done. make sure you write down all of your statements and justification if you want the A. You got to write down each statement, each justification, and make sure on the third question you answered the question entirely. If you want a 4 out of 4, you've got to plug it back in and tell me what these two angles are. Okay. On the other ones, it's not as important because they already tell you what one of the angles is. So this one better be 19. This one better be 34. Okay. So don't get hung up on that unless there's an X in both of them, then they're probably going to look for the angle measure as well. So be careful. Don't get caught. Let me see. So there's our example problem. 1, 2, 3 homework problems, and that should finish it off for us. So make sure this gets done, completed, and then submitted into the classroom, and you're good to go. Oh, sweet. Somebody already turned it in. Good work. And I think that's it for me. So if there's ever anything, I always check. Once again, I'll bring it back up, but I always like to check the Discord chat. I love questions in the questions tab. This is the public one. If you ever do private lessons, and I've taught some people some private lessons, you can see there's a lot of calculus. I've been working with this student. So message me anytime, whatever you need. Put the questions in the questions tab. If I have a quick sec, I can make a video and tag you in it in TikTok, but I'm still learning kind of the ins and outs of TikTok. So I'm getting a little bit better. Like I'm recording today's session, so hopefully I can break up this video into individual sessions or individual problems. Yeah, and stuff like that. So once again, if you ever need anything, drop by on Mondays, and I'm gonna do Math Dragon Mondays, and hopefully chop these up into Math Dragon moments. Make each one of these videos kind of an individual thing, or each of these problems into individual videos. So thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next Monday. All right, have a blessed day. Pause live, end live, and see ya. Good.